So nice to have you all with us, and those of you who are watching and joining us at later stages. And of course, the purpose of these videos is for us to be able to engage with you and answer some of the questions regarding going solar and what's all required there. So thank you to Vota for standing in for the team and answering some of those questions. I think the idea here is, look, there's so much going on in the solar space at the moment. What are the key factors? What should we be looking for? What kind of problems you're having? I had one of our users contact us this morning to say they've recently bought a system and one of the batteries has gone down and they're now having to wait 4 to 6 weeks for a replacement battery. This is what's happening now, unfortunately, in the solar industry. There's just an influx of products that have come into the country, and it's not new. This has happened before. Of course, we've got an energy crisis. And so how are we going to get this service delivery? So these are the kind of things we want to tackle with over the next couple of weeks. And if you've got questions, we'd like to hear from you. I think the key thing that I'd like to just touch on just as an intro, and it's something that we cover on our training courses. So we have a monthly training course for installers here at Microcare, where we cover some of the understandings of the solar system, how to size the system. We look at the practicalities for the installers. Those are for the electricians trying to understand what are the beneficial moments or things that we can use in a Microcare system. But the key things that we like to focus on that come through first is firstly, and I often get asked to come and have a look for a solar system, is to see where can we actually put the panels. Now, I'm quite shocked at the moment of how many people, because there's a need in the market and there's so many solar installers out there, that people are putting panels on flat roofs, on south-facing roofs. These are big no-nos, and consumers, unfortunately, we don't know any different. We've been taking a little bit for a ride in that. So I think it's so important that we understand what is the ideal place for a solar panel to go. Now, ideally, we want north-facing, and the angle of that panel really depends on where you are in the world. But here down along the coast, we're looking for 25 to 35 degrees. That's not rocket science. This is something that the South African Weather Service, the geological guys, will tell us about the correct angle of the panel. Why? Because this is the maximum amount of power that the panel can make throughout the year. We know that summer is always going to be great, but winter particularly, it's quite important. So ideally north-facing, 25 to 35 along the coast, maybe a little bit less angle inland in the Gauteng areas. And we've got clients up in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia, Zambia, where their angle's a lot less. And that's really just about the latitude and longitude line that we have on the planet and the best place for solar. We did a project recently in Nigeria, and the panels were flat on the roof, and it sort of scratched our heads a little bit, thinking, is that the right thing to do? But of course, they're so close to the equator, they don't have much angle in summer and winter. So as consumers, it's quite important that we maximize the angle of the panel. And that's why often you see flat roofs have got sort of an angle on their panels. And sometimes some people don't like them. Some people think this doesn't look too nice. But the idea really is about getting maximum power out of the panels. That's where we're going to get the return on our investment. Just a question here. What about east and west roof? Absolutely. I think that's very doable. In fact, it's just a different kind of generating of power. North facing, they call it the bell curve of solar. It just means in the morning time, the sun will slowly come up, face north, and in the middle of the day peaking, and the end of the day, it will sort of taper off. There's a bell curve of the generation of power. In east and west facing, we get sort of a square curve, where in the morning, where the east panels quickly shoots up, and then you've got a balance through the day as the sun comes over and connects both east and west panels, and then a steep drop off as the sun goes down in the afternoon. So east and west is possible. Sometimes people will say 25% more panels are needed for east and west versus north. There's some debate around that, but it is totally doable. But the ideal would be north facing. If you don't have a north facing roof, then consider east west. The nice thing about our equipment, Microcare, is that you can go north, east, west, northeast, northwest, and for every different angle, we can just simply put another small MPPT connected to some surge protection, and you can get the maximum amount of power out of your roof. So you're not limited in Microcare systems in one set of panels that have to be set up for an MPPT or an angle roof. You've got multiple options as well. So that's the great thing about our system. So first thing I like to do is actually look at the roof space. Before I even go inside and have a look at data or drink somebody's coffee, I first want to see, hey, what kind of roof space have we got to work with here? And there's some other things as well. A lot of houses have old chimneys or lots of trees. These are things that we want to try and avoid, or if we can, move away from. If we've got a big roof, I recently visited a client who's got these roofs with these big concrete walls either side and the tiles in between. It would be best to try and get into the middle of that roof space to prevent the shade that raised wall will make. So that's quite important. The roof and the positioning of the panels it's so important. If we don't get that right, the efficiency and the return on investment that you've made into solar can not often not be worth it. So please do consider that. The next thing I like to actually do is just get an idea of budget. I mean, how much money are we looking at here when it comes to solar? I mean, the big thing is it's expensive. There's a big initial capital outlay, but of course the return on investment is phenomenal. And we can have a look at that in the coming weeks. But am I getting my money back? A lot of the systems that are being sold these days are one size only, an 8 kVA or kilowatt or 5 kilowatt, and it can only fit so many panels, and that's all you get. So your return on investment often is not as good. So we're going to look at what are the good return on investments that we should be getting from solar by putting up panels. And I like to talk about money at this stage, because solar these days is more than just overcoming load shedding or about mitigating rising energy costs. It's a good financial decision. You could be investing 200,000 Rand and getting that money back within 5 years. And that's outside of government incentives and tax incentives. So it really is a good financial decision. Not too many things in our world these days giving us the kind of return on investment. But again, it also comes down to the equipment. I think that's one of the great things about Microcare is because it's locally manufactured, we're able to test it here, we're able to really prove its efficiency. So budget is the second one. The first one was the roof space. And thirdly, we don't like to size systems based on the limitations of a product. We want to size a system based on your energy demands. So if you need X amount of power, well, let's get enough panels to make that power. Or there's got to be a reduction in that power to fit in with what you have. Unfortunately, these days, solar is so frequently just becoming about, well, I'll just buy that inverter and do whatever it can do. And we can do more than that. I think with Microcare, one of the great advantages is that we can size a system specifically for your energy requirements. Please, we don't ignore energy efficiency. I think that is a must to get the most efficient use of your energy in your home. Remember, we're used to using cheap electricity in South Africa, leaving lights and air cons on in our offices. Now we're starting to realize, hey, that's money down the drain. Let's save that money. So if we can be more efficient in our building and our energy use and then size a solar system, I think that'll be good. And a far better approach to have as well. So we want to then capture some data. So get the building to be most efficient. A client down the road here recently, we first recommended that they change their lighting because they had some old fluorescent bulbs that were very heavy on energy. We were able to change those bulbs, reduce the energy, and then have a much more efficient and cheaper solar system. A better way to go. So there we go. Those are the three things. Number one is roof space. Number two is what kind of budgets are we looking at? What kind of money are we expecting to pay? And what kind of return investment am I going to get? And three, what data am I going to use? Where am I going to get the information on sizing a system? Is it taking an inverter and just making it work? Or am I going to read some data, put a meter in? Am I going to work with some of that information to accurately calculate a system? So these are important factors. So let us know how your experience has been in solar over the coming weeks. Every Tuesday, just after 2, we're going to tackle some more of these questions. As you can see, Voter and the rest of the team are available to answer your questions as well. This is your solar journey. It's your energy journey. And so we're here to walk alongside you and assist you on the way. Go check out our Facebook page. We've got some really nice videos on YouTube, some technical videos as well. We've got a question coming in.
Any development on MPPT with a higher VOC?
Okay, great. Thanks for that question. Who's the question from?
From Quinton Masters.
Thank you, Quinton. Yeah, so the question is whether the Microcare current MPPT, the string voltages are 150 volts. So I'm not too sure if it was tackled at all by Voter earlier, but the string voltage is really about how many panels you can put into one string. For those who don't understand this lingo, when you take a solar panel and you stick another one next to it and you connect it in series, we're going to add the voltage of the panel. So if this panel's got a 50 volts and this one's got 50, when I put them together, I'm making 100 volts. That doesn't sound too complicated, but you can't just keep adding panels. There's a limitation on those. On the Microcare MPPT, our standard range, it is 150 volts. Then we've got, of course, our high voltage MPPTs, which is 400 volts. That means if I've got 50 volt panels, I can go up to 8 panels in a string. So what about our standard MPPTs? Can we increase the voltage? Absolutely. We've got a really exciting 400 volt MPPT coming out in the standard range. So not like the large mini grid MPPT, that one's coming soon. In fact, if you came and visited our factory, you'll see it on the wall, and the team have been doing an outstanding job with it. So this is really exciting. And that's the whole joy of being part of a factory, is we get to evolve and develop as well. The reality is panels are getting bigger, although the voltages are not getting too much bigger, but we are getting 600 watt plus panels and voltages in there into the 50s. So we limited then with the Microcare MPPT to only have 2 panels in series if they've got over 50. So we are looking at increasing that, and we've got some products coming through as well. Yeah. All right. So thank you for the question, Quinton. That's the idea. Send us your questions, and we're going to address them and introduce you to some of our products as well. This new MPPT is something really exciting that we want to bring about as well. Okay, so of course you can do this on the YouTube channel. Thanks, Quinton. You can do it on our social media pages as well if you have any questions. And of course, you can email to us. I mean, if you've got questions or challenges or wanting to know what's the best thing to do, then you can do so by emailing our team. And there's lots of nice email addresses that we've got here. The one that I like to recommend is just simply sales@microcare.co.za. Sales@microcare.co.za. So I reiterate again, it's your solar journey. So we want to assist you along the way. You might have got a product that's not Microcare's, but you're learning about it. How can we assist? We're here to assist the nation, our consumers, South African, fellow South Africans. We're in this together. Remember, we support the Bokke. We build local products. So chat to us if you have any questions. And we'll catch you every Tuesday just after 2 right here live on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow our channel as well. Right. Thanks, guys. We'll chat to you soon.